Utilities Commission, and with me this morning are Commissioners Duffley, Hughes, McKissick, Brawley, and Tucker. In compliance with State Government Ethics Act, I remind members of the Commission of our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and inquire at this time as to whether any member of the Commission has a known conflict with respect to the matters coming before us. All right, the record will reflect that no conflicts have been identified, so we'll proceed with Public Staff Item 1.
Morning, Commissioners. I'm Tommy Williamson with the Public Staff Energy Division. Item 1 is an application for a certificate of public convenience and necessity and registration statement to construct a 73 megawatt solar photovoltaic generating facility in Johnston County, North Carolina. Public staff has reviewed the application and recommends approval of the certificate and registration statement is filed.
Move public staff's recommendation.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that the item be approved as recommended by the public staff. Are there questions or discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, all in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Williamson. We will move to Public Staff Item 2.
Item 2 is an application for a certificate of public convenience and necessity and registration statement to construct a 74.9 megawatt solar photovoltaic generating facility in Halifax County, North Carolina. Public staff has reviewed the application and recommends approval of the certificate and registration statement is filed. Thank you.
Move public staff's recommendation.
I'll second it.
All right, before I call for a vote, Mr. Williamson, in the application materials, there's a discrepancy as to the identity of the purchaser of the output of the facility. We've got Halifax EMC and NCEMC noted. Do you know who the actual purchaser is? And if you don't, is there anyone here on behalf of the applicant that could clear that up for us?
I do not at this point.
Okay, well,
I think I've got it right, but I didn't realize there was a discrepancy.
well, the FERC filings and some other information that's included with the application indicate that Halifax is going to purchase. I know your materials say NCEMC, so we just want to get that cleared up. So what I would ask subsequent to the staff conference this morning, if you would just find that out from the applicant, y'all clear that up and then make a notify the commission after staff conference. That'd be appreciated. All right, any additional questions or discussion? All right, all in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. All right, we will move to Public Staff Item 3.
Good morning, Michelle Boswell, Public Staff Accounting Division. Item P3 is docket number E22 sub 702, an application filed by Dominion Energy North Carolina regarding the Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind Affiliate Agreements. Public staff and the company have worked together to come up with conditions set forth within the order. And the public staff recommends Rider OSW servicing agreement be approved under 62-153A and the remaining be approved under 62-153 subsection B. The company representatives are here should the commission have any additional questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boswell. The commission does have questions for the company this morning, so I'd ask for a company representative to come forward.
Good morning, Chair Mitchell, Commissioners. Andrea Callis, McGuire Woods here on behalf of the company.
I'm Scott Gaskell, Vice President of Regulatory Affairs for the company.
Good morning, Mr. Gaskell, Ms. Kells. Thank you for being here with us this morning. All right, just a few questions before we move forward. In its reply comments in the docket, the company filed some proposed revisions to the conditions that were proposed by the public staff. And I just want to be clear, did the company and the public staff come to agreement on the conditions? And if so, is that agreement set forth and are reflected in the proposed order before us?
They are.
Yes.
Okay, so because I note that the reply comments differ somewhat from the conditions that are in the proposed order, so I want to make sure that the proposed order reflects the agreement.
The conditions in the proposed order are the agreed upon conditions.
Okay, thank you. The proposed order and certain of the filings made in the application or with the application indicate that, get my notes. Rate base related to CVAL will not be included as plant and service or rate base on the company's books. Can you just explain how will rate base be for this project be treated?
Sure. So after the closing, the project itself, the assets will be transferred to the new entity Project Co. And so it won't be reflected in the rate base of DENC's books. It would be because Project Co would own it at that point. Through the North Carolina revenue contract, that is, you can almost think of it as a PPA. It's not really, I mean, to where DNC is purchasing the financial attributes of it. So Project Co would own the project, sell in the PJM, energy capacity, so forth. And then those values would be transferred back to DENC through that contract. So it's not physically a rate base for the company, but although the costs are coming back to DNC through that revenue contract.
Okay, understood. Thank you for that explanation. Mr. Gaskell, the agreements filed in this docket, I think all of confidential information. So if question elicits confidential information, just let me know. There are provisions for cost overruns. Are you familiar with the provisions that I'm referring to?
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Kells, I'm looking at you to help me stay within the boundaries of when it becomes confidential. But so to the extent, or Ms. Kells or someone in the back of the room, but to the extent that we get sort of beyond the cost overruns that are contemplated in the agreement, Mr. Gaskell, can you explain to me sort of at a high level? Again, I want to avoid any sort of confidential information, but what happens if we get to that point?
Yeah, so first of all, I would note, so the project is on schedule and it's on budget at this point in time. So things are going well, but in the event that there are cost overruns, so the two partners, Dominion Energy and Stone Peak, would continue to contribute 50/50 up to a certain point, and goes in that are the I think the numbers are public.
Yes.
I don't think they are. That's why I'm
Okay.
trying to, let's just be careful
Yeah.
out of abundance of caution.
Up to a certain point, it would continue to be 50/50 sharing. And then beyond that, in the unlikely event that we are beyond that point, then there are mechanisms to where Stone Peak can continue to fund and basically there's a sharing mechanism for where they may not be funding 50/50 at that point in time to continue to maintain their equal ownership. And so the idea behind that, oh, sorry.
So I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. So they would maintain equal ownership, but they would be funding less if we got to that point of cost overrun that goes beyond what's anticipated.
That
in
is
the agreement.
correct.
Okay.
Under at certain levels, they could choose not to fund. Dominion can continue to fund, and then Dominion at that point would have more than a 50/50 ownership share.
Okay,
But
got
there's
it.
also a condition, Chairman, in the order that's making clear the last condition 19, that the customer protections that were agreed to in the Virginia proceeding on these agreements also will apply to customers in North Carolina.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that explanation and for pointing that out. Okay. The documents filed in this docket, I believe, make this clear, but I just want you all to confirm at least the way I read them. When it comes time for, so under the revenue contract, DENC will pay to the project company charges associated with the sale of or the purchase and sale of the energy and the capacity. And I don't want to go into confidential information, but there's a mechanism established for how what the rate is going to be that the Dominion North Carolina customers pay. But any charges that are assessed to DENC and are paid by DENC will be subject to audit and review approval by this commission. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's my last question. I mean, my second to last question. My last question is for you, Mr. Gaskell. I don't want to sort of open a can of worms here, so don't let me. But the way I understand the proposal here is that the project company will interface or interact with PJM. And I just want to be sure, so this project will not sell into PJM as Dom Gen, is that correct?
That is correct. Project Co will sell the energy and capacity directly to PJM. However, in the project management agreement, one of the services that Dominion as the owner and operator, or not the owner, as the operator of the facility the market operations center for Dominion will continue to be the interface between PJM, but it will be a separate account than DomGen. And so Project Co would be sort of the owner of that energy and capacity to PJM.
Okay, so I recognize the way in which Dominion is participating in PJMs or going forward as in RPM to the extent that that changes at any point in the future. And PJM or Dominion goes back into a posture where it's covering its own obligations. Do the agreements with the project company contemplate such a scenario, or is it back to the drawing board at that point in time?
In that hypothetical scenario, we would likely need to have an additional agreement between Project Co and DENC, basically a bilateral to get the capacity to Dominion so it could include it in its FRR plans.
And you answered my question. Okay, thank you. All right, let me see if there are any other questions for company or for the public staff. Commissioner Tucker.
Just a couple, excuse me, just a couple of quick questions. I don't think as a abundance of caution, if there's anything that I ask that even hints at something that's confidential, as the chair suggested, just say no. I don't think so. Tell me a little bit about Stone Peak. They've got about 70 billion under asset management now. Have they invested in such a project as this before? Do you know?
So they are a large energy infrastructure investment firm. So they do have a lot of experience in these large complex projects, including an offshore wind project, such as, so that was.
Where is that project? I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I don't know. I can check, find that out for you.
I
So
think
that-
in the sorry, Commissioner Tucker, in the application, I think it indicates there's one in Taiwan.
So none in the US.
No. And in fact, this will be the first offshore wind commercial scale project in the US.
Okay, for Stone Peak. Okay.
For anybody.
And then just a follow-up question. What is the projected impact to the rate base or to the rate customer as this project moves forward and comes to fruition? What's the number, cost and the cost of the rate base to the ratepayer?
Yeah, so over its life, we've estimated an average of about $4 to the typical residential customer over time. Obviously, that's going to fluctuate year to year. As the project comes in line and depreciates over time, of course, subject to the energy and capacity value in PJM. So, but we've estimated approximately $4 over its life.
Okay. So $4 over the course of a year?
That
or
was the
monthly?
that was the average over the 30-year life of the project.
Monthly, $4.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then what is the total projected cost of this project when it comes to fruition?
Estimated 9.8 billion for capital.
Very similar to Dominion's debt at 9.2 billion on the projects in Virginia, right?
You repeat that, what was the 9?
Dominion, the two that they have and the 176 leases that they have is roughly 9.2 billion investment. So this is parallel to their investment in Virginia, if my numbers are correct. And if you don't agree with those or you don't know those, that's fine. I'm just trying to get a parallel, wrap my head around what we're talking about here.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding what the 9.2 that you're referring to.
Dominion has invested, I believe, 9.2 billion in the leases and the two windmills that they have operational now. And you're stating that this project will cost about 9.8 billion. So the numbers parallel with what Dominion has already spent. Do you understand now?
Yeah, the pilot project was approximately 400 million, not 9.2 billion. So, and then to date on this project, the commercial scale, we've, by the end of the year, will be approximately 6.4 billion investment, which is, and as we do the partnership, Stone Peak would then be funding half of that.
Okay. No further questions.
Any additional questions from commissioners?
Move approval of staff recommendation.
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that the item be approved as recommended by the public staff. Any questions or discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, all in favor indicate with an eye. Is there anyone opposed? The motion carries. Thank you all. All right, we will proceed to public staff item 4.
Good morning. I'm Evan Hauser, engineer with the Public Staff Water, Sewer, and Telephone Division. Items 4 and 5 filed by Aqua North Carolina, Inc. in docket number W218 subs 548 and 549 are notifications of intention to begin operations in an area contiguous to present service area to provide water utility service in Sauls Glen and in Shadow Creek in Wake County, North Carolina. The public staff has reviewed the notifications and recommends that the commission issue the proposed orders recognizing the contiguous extensions.
I move approval of staff recommendation.
I second it.
All right, Mr. Hauser, it is the case that Shadow Creek is in the Bayleaf service area.
That's my understanding, yes.
Does the public staff have any concerns about provision of service to additional customers in the Bayleaf service area?
Not related to this contiguous extension that I'm aware of. I'll check the information on the capacity and send over any comments to your staff shortly after a staff conference.
Okay, but in the context of this, this notification and the public staff's development of a recommendation, you all didn't identify concerns with serving these additional customers?
No, not in relation.
Okay, that's all I need to know. All right, we've got a motion. Let me see if there are any additional questions for the public staff on this one. All right, we've got a motion that's been seconded to approve items 4 and 5 as recommended by the public staff. All in favor indicate with an eye. Is there anyone opposed?
Item 6, followed by Aqua North Carolina, Inc. in docket number W218 sub 616 is a verified petition pursuant to NCGS 62-133.11 requesting authority to amend its tariff for the purpose of passing along to its metered water customers in 63 service areas in Johnston County, North Carolina, the increased cost of purchasing water service from Johnston County Department of Public Utilities. Public staff has reviewed the petition and recommends that the proposed order be issued approving the tariff provision.
Move approval of staff recommendation.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that the item be approved as recommended by the public staff. Are there questions or discussion on the motion? All right, Commissioner Tucker.
Just a quick question. Do you have any idea how many customers out of 63 service areas will be impacted by this dollar increase?
No, not with me.
Okay.
I may be able to look into it and
Sure.
get information.
I didn't know if that was 63 subdivisions, it was 2,000 people or 200. I just didn't know. So if you can get back to me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I see we've got representative of the company back. If you'd like to come forward and respond to the commissioner's questions.
Good morning, Ruffin Poole, Director of Business Development and Regulatory Affairs for Aqua North Carolina. There are approximately 4,000 customers that'll be impacted by the pass-through service for Johnston County and Flowers Plantation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. All right. It's been seconded for approval of the public of the item as recommended by the public staff. All in favor indicate with an eye. Is there anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hauser. All right, commission has before us our minutes from the August 26th staff conference for approval. I'll take a motion.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion from Commissioner McKissick that's been seconded by Commissioner Tucker. Any questions or discussion on the motion? All in favor indicate with an eye.
Aye.
All right, is there anyone opposed? Those minutes are approved. Any additional business for the commission this morning? All right, seeing none, we'll be adjourned. Thank you very much. Be off the record.